Hi, welcome to This Expat Life. My name is Amanda Maxime, and as a certified coach, I help high-achieving expats find more fulfillment and happiness in their global lives. Because while life abroad is often amazing, it is not only rainbows and butterflies, as all experienced expats know. In This Expat Life, I open up space for all facets of life abroad and what you can do to thrive in it. And to support you in your personal, professional, and geographic life transitions, I share tips, tell relatable stories, and connect with fellow expats. Whether you've just moved abroad or you are a seasoned expat, This Expat Life is your place to find real understanding and to grow from the inside out. Enjoy the show. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of This Expat Life. I hope that you're doing well. I am doing pretty well. I am very, very excited for my upcoming 3-month Americas tour / workation. I'm really, really excited, but I'm also a little bit stressed and rushed. Not in a conscious way because my conscious brain isn't super stressed. It's not like I have so many to-dos. I do have stuff to finish before I leave, but it's doable. But my body is stressed. I can sense it. And for me, ever since I started becoming a coach and I went through my own perfect storm that I talked about, I think it was episode 17, I'm actually not quite sure. But a couple of years ago when life was really lifing for me, I really learned to listen more to my body and to recognize its signals. And what I'm realizing the last week or so is that I feel it's very hard for me to relax, even though, last weekend I didn't have so much to do except for a few social things and something in the house, but it was just really hard for me to rest in between. Like I always felt on for a long time. And I know many of you experience something similar. I have so many clients who are always just so busy and are always on, and they find it very hard to unwind and to relax. We're not going to dive into it, but it's often also because of a belief that they aren't really allowed to relax. Maybe we can talk about that another time. In any case, despite the rush that I'm kind of feeling, I'm also super excited for my trip. I'm leaving in less than 3 weeks at the time of recording. I'll be going to Arizona for a business event. Then I'll have 2 days with my business besties in Sedona. So the business event will be in Phoenix or close to Phoenix, Arizona. And then we'll be going to Sedona. And then I'll have 5 or 6 days on my own. I'm still figuring out what it is that I want to do. But something that I definitely want to schedule in around that time, because it will be harder later on, is my usual end of the year solo retreat, which I'm going to be sharing more about, I think, in another episode or definitely on Instagram and my airmail. So make sure to sign up for that because I'm creating something around that. But this is my annual end of the year retreat where I really take time to reflect on the past year and dream for the next year, but also really come up with a plan and really step into that identity of who I want to become. And I prefer to do it a little bit later in December, but I will be busy in El Salvador because that is the second destination where I will have a wedding followed by a couple days with friends and Christmas. And then after Christmas, I will be flying to Mexico City where I will be staying for 2 months. That is the plan now. I do have this sensation that a lot still needs to unfold for me. When I think of next year, we in the business world, so many of us are already talking about plans for next year and goals. And I'm like, wow, they already started doing that in October. I'm like, we still have a couple of months for this year. But 2026 feels like a super blank slate to me still, or just something completely open. I don't know how it's going to unfold for me. And I feel the same a little bit about my trip, where I have my plans, but something tells me there might be a change of plans. And I have no idea what that will be and why and where, but I just have this feeling that there might be a change of plans. So hopefully for the best. So I'm going in very easy. Let's just see what's going to happen. I know how to, find my way as a globetrotter, as a freelancer business owner. I'll bring my clients with me because I work online. I'm just really, really excited to dive into the unknown. I've never been to Mexico, so that's finally a new country again for me to take off because I always travel back to the same countries in the Americas. And I'm really excited to learn about a whole new culture, to speak Spanish again, this time with a perhaps different accent that I'm going to learn. So yeah, I'm super, super excited. But this episode is not about my trip. It's not about the excitement I'm feeling right now. It's actually about what I was feeling last week at the time of recording. Because last week, I didn't have my best week. I don't know what was going on. I did start it in a fantastic way because I went on a mini retreat with my bestie, on a reading retreat actually. It was something we had been looking forward to for weeks, if not months. We had a vague plan a couple of months ago, and then we finally picked a date. And then we also finally picked a hotel. This was the hardest part. Because what we wanted to do was that we wanted to have a day fully dedicated to something that we love doing but don't make enough time for, and that is reading. So we really picked a hotel that matched the vibes that we wanted to have. So the room had to be nice, the lobby had to be nice. We didn't want to have any distractions, and there had to be room service and just like good vibes, and ideally also like a fire pit. And we found something that we actually really liked in a small town close to The Hague. We went there, and I remember sharing it with a couple of people, friends, whatever. And a few of them raised their eyebrows. They were like, "You're doing what? You're paying for something that you could do at home? Like, why don't you just do it at home?" And it's really hard to explain. But I really love reading, but I don't make enough time for it at home because I'm just busy. And then, just before going to bed, I read a little bit and I'm so tired. I read 5 pages and that's it. And on holiday, I always read, or used to read a lot, books and books and books. But the last 2 years or so, my holidays haven't really been relaxing. So especially once I started going to my business events in the US, I always added holidays to those trips. And those holidays weren't just like we're staying in one place and doing nothing. No, it was me driving almost 3,000 kilometers in less than 2 weeks, for example. So that really leaves you with little room to read. And also at these events and when I travel with my business besties, like we're busy with work as well, or brainstorming. So my brain is really on. I love it, but it gives me really little downtime to read. So, sorry, I'm off track again, but please bear with me. I am sharing it because I shared about it in my airmail and on Instagram, and it resonated with a lot of people. And a few people actually reached out and said, I'm going to plan something similar because I got so inspired by this. And so we had our little reading retreat where we would just have that time that we were missing back home, the time and space and distraction-free zone to really just read a book. And that's what we did. We had some catch up and we spoke about a few things. But basically after an hour and a half, we just read until we went to bed. We ordered some room for service, also had a good glass of wine. It was all really nice. And then by the morning, we were reading again. And so this was from Sunday to Monday. And I loved it. And I started my week so well because I was intentionally giving myself, it truly felt like a gift, giving myself the space and the time to do something that purely for the joy of it, purely because I enjoy doing it with no other reason. There was no making the most of our time here, no sightseeing, no plans. It was just like, I get to read as much as I want for, 18 hours. Okay, minus the sleep, we also slept. And it was a real gift. And honestly, it was actually a celebration of my successful launch of the Copilot, because in October, I started a new round and I had the most amazing people step in. And I always celebrate all my launches, regardless of the outcome, I celebrate them. And this one I was really happy about. But already before I knew the outcome, I had already decided this will be the gift that I'm giving myself for launching the Copilot again. And so it was such a good way to start our week from this place of relaxation, from this place of doing something that we love doing, and for really giving ourselves the time to do it instead of when things calm down, then I can read more. When I'm on holiday, then I can read that book. When I'm more relaxed, then I'll be able to stay focused in this book. No, there's a lot going on. It doesn't really make sense for my logical brain to do this on a Sunday to Monday when I love focus on Monday. But I still gifted it to myself and it was really, really nice. So if you are also inspired by it, organize your own little retreat or takeaway or whatever it is that you love doing, and let me know. So, but the reason for this episode was that I started my week really well, but it went downhill from there. I don't know what happened, but well, several factors contributed to it. But by Tuesday, I was already, oh my God, what a week. And it was only Tuesday. And normally, I have this more often, obviously, as we all do, especially women, I guess, where not every day is going to be a banger. And usually within a day, I have shifted my energy and I get some proper sleep and I'm back on track. But this time it lasted longer. And by Thursday, I was like, for fuck's sake, what is going on here? And I just want to speak to that because I also shared about this openly on Instagram. And a lot of people send me a message saying, oh, wow, I had something similar this week. Oh, it's good to know I'm not alone. So I thought I'm just going to create an episode around it as well, because if I'm experiencing it and the people on Instagram are, then big chances are you are as well. And I just want you to know you're not alone. And I want you to know what you can do, or at least what I do, to get myself out of that funk. So just to show you how that funk looked for me, my sleep wasn't good. I had so many crazy vivid dreams, including about a friend who passed away last year, and she came back fully happy and alive in my dream. And it was a nice dream, but it was, whoa, still something big. I had other very, very vivid dreams, and it was just, I woke up with, my Fitbit said I had a lot of deep sleep, but I woke up exhausted. And there was maybe 1 or 2 days that I woke up a little bit with more energy, but then by 10 a.m. I was already like, oh my God, it's so hard for me to be here. Like, I'm just so tired. So there was the physical energy aspect. I noticed there were some emotions just below the surface that kind of like made themselves known, but they weren't fully coming out. There was a bit of anxiety and basically mostly anxiety about a few different things, actually. So that was also making me feel a little bit wobbly. When I spoke to friends about my week, I was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel so wobbly. Like, I'm really, really wobbly. I also had a hard time really enjoying the things that I was doing. So I went to a talk from this journalist about the current state of the US, and it was really interesting. But it was almost like there was a blanket on top of me where I could enjoy for maybe 70%, but like the other 30% was just numb. It wasn't bad, it was just numb. And I've experienced this before. When I was younger, in my very early 20s, I had weeks, months of this numbness and more than 30%. I haven't had this numbness for a long time now, but to recognize that numbness coming back for just a couple of days, I was like, okay, that's interesting. There's something going on here. So yeah, it was the physical energy. It was the stress, the anxiety, the numbness, not really enjoying it. I also felt I had very little headspace. It was really hard for me to concentrate. And I've been having this for weeks because there was a lot going on in my personal life. And then my calendar was really full because of a last minute trip. I do this to myself, obviously. And I have a new idea that I really want to get into this world, but I have like no headspace to start thinking about it. And a lot of other things as well, especially last week, I was just like, I have no headspace. And it felt like time was slipping through my fingers. I was pretty busy and I just didn't have any grip on time or on my energy or the things that I wanted to do. The only thing that I was really able to do well was to show up for my clients. I did have sessions almost every day, or some client work I had to do and wanted to do. But that was what I like really showed up for in my full energy. But after that, my energy was gone again. And it took me until Thursday to finally get a bit of a shift happening. And I wanted to share the 5 things that I did just for you, for inspiration. If you're feeling like this too, where you're like, I'm not having the best week, quite the opposite. I'm having a bad week. I can't really pinpoint why this is happening. Maybe there isn't one reason, but I'm just not feeling it this week. And I think what a lot of us do is that we kind of fight it. We tell ourselves we have no reason to feel this way. We tell ourselves to suck it up, to just push through, especially that one. I've heard that one on Instagram quite a lot. I just need to push through. And I've done that in the past myself very often as well. And it worked. I got my things done, but then I would always pay a price later on, because if you keep pushing through, you're burning your energy. And this has consequences. So you're not alone. It's normal to experience these weeks. And especially I think if you live abroad and you're far removed from your trusted inner circle, your friends, those people that you can really get to be yourself with all your moodiness and tiredness and whatever else. It might be hard, especially if you haven't lived abroad for long, to really show up in that state with new friends. But also maybe in that, when you are feeling that way, you kind of crave someone just next to you or close to you without having to engage in an activity or a real conversation. And if you're single and abroad, you need your friends for that kind of stuff. And maybe you don't have that in the place that you live in. Maybe you only have it back home and then you can have a phone call, but it's not really maybe what you need. So I really hear you if you feel this way, especially in Q4 as we're nearing the end of the year. Stress is mounting. Maybe you're dreading the holidays because you're abroad alone, or you're traveling back and you're just like, I'm already so tired. How am I going to do this? You're in the right space if you feel that way, because we've all been there. So let me get started with the 5 things that I did this week. And I'm sure I can come up with a few more, but these were just the 5 things that I came up with at the top of my head that I really implemented last week that really made that change happen. So the first thing that I do is, and this has been a game changer for me, and I've really practiced it the last 2 years especially, I would say, is to lay down the foundations really well. So whenever in the past I would wake up and notice like, oh my God, my to-do list is so long, but I have no energy and I'm not feeling it. And I don't even like what I'm doing right now. Like I'm dreading it, I'm procrastinating, because I have that too with my work, like emails and stuff, basically. That's always what I dread. Before, I would tell myself, no, just push through, take another cup of coffee and just go for it. Now, what I do when I wake up and I already feel that way, and I'm realizing that, I'm not gonna hurry up to start my day a little bit earlier to get all my to-dos ticked off. No, I'm going to lay down the foundations even better. So what I did last week, a couple times actually in the morning, or on several mornings, was that I meditated, because I thought my brain is so noisy, I need to calm down. I also did visualizing. I visualized my future self and my vision, because that future me is just really happy and thriving and confident and energetic. So the more I can tap into that energy, the more I will feel it right now. So I did some future self visualization. It's also something actually that someone in the Copilot did when she was feeling very low. She wrote us in the group like, oh my God, I did that visualization and I am on a different frequency right now. So I'm really glad. I was really glad to hear that. So that's what I do. What I also did, I looked at a document that I write down in my end of year retreats about the vision for the next year, and I just read it and I really get into that vision again. So it's a bit similar like the future self visualization, but it's from a written text. What I also did was EFT tapping. I'm not an expert in this. If you don't know what it is, you're literally tapping I'm doing this right now, on different energetic points in your face or close to your face. And while you say, for example, certain affirmations that you want to feel into, believe into, or want to experience. And so I really identified what is the cause of my anxiety here around these specific things that I was feeling, and what will be the antidote for that. What do I want to feel? What do I want to believe about myself and others? And so I really did some tapping with that to really get into that state of mind and trusting that things would unfold the right way for me. Often what we do when we are feeling these ways, we override our emotions or our state of being with logical thoughts and rational reasoning, like why we don't have a reason to feel that way, or, just go for it, just start doing this, X, Y, Z. But I think it's way more powerful if you can tap into this state of being where you can really trust that things will work out for you. And you do that by calming the mind down, by getting into your body, by doing this EFT tapping or something else that really helps you believe those new beliefs, by that visualization that helps you tap into a whole different energy and state of mind. So I laid down the foundations really well every morning, and it took me 20-30 minutes in total, 30 for sure actually, that I could have spent on my to-dos, but I intentionally chose no. If it means I'm going to do a little bit less today and that email gets written tomorrow, so be it. Because if I'm a coach and my energy is my tool, and to show up for my clients, I need to make sure that my energy is in the right place. And not just for my clients, that's also what I want for myself. So let me do this kind of work, because that's way more powerful and beneficial for me in the long term. I prioritize my energy first over my daily achievements. And this is a radical change. And it sounds so simple. And maybe you're like, oh yeah, sure, makes sense. Of course you would do that. But to actually implement it, for me, it was a radical change from who I was a couple of years ago, where I would just push through. Like, you've got no reason to complain. Just suck it up. Just work a little harder. Just start earlier. No. And now I'm like, I don't. I want to bring myself in this better state of being. And only from there, I do what I want to do, or have to do and want to do. So that was my number one thing. I laid down the foundations, got myself into a different state. And this really helped me to do those coaching sessions that I still had with all this energy and attention and presence for my clients. The second thing that I did was self-care. Now, this is a no-brainer, and it's always what everyone says, yet the implementation of it is a lot harder. We all know, oh, when things are tough, make sure you take care of yourself, but to actually do it is a lot harder. And I realized, okay, I have a super, super busy schedule. I'm not feeling well physically because of the sleep, because of, whatever had been going on in the last couple of weeks. But I need to prioritize my self-care, because if I want to be in good energy by the end of the week, I need to do stuff that makes me feel better. I knew I wasn't gonna have a lot of time for exercise. And to be honest, exercise is the first thing that gets pushed off my list, or whatever I do in a day when I'm stressed and busy and I'm working on it. But I did go, on Monday I went to the gym, I did a yoga class, and on the other days I was super busy in a way a lot, but I just thought, okay, wherever I can walk, I'll just walk. Now that's my self-care for this week. And I also bought some extra vegetables. I couldn't even come up with a word, to be like, okay, I need a little extra healthy push this week. So I don't have time to cook a whole, really spectacular meal for myself. But what I can do is buy more pre-cut vegetables, throw them into a pan, snack with some carrots, whatever I could. I was just taking that little. It was just about realizing, I know I can't do everything that I want to do for my health, but wherever I can, I will prioritize that, because that is what self-care looks to me right now. So I also took some naps, because I'm like, if I'm really tired, this is the self-care that I need. And I think there was something else that I did in my self-care, but I can't remember what it now was. But I have to say, self-care to me looks different every time. So when it's like this more physical energy that I'm low with, I take care of my physical health. Sometimes when I feel it's really emotional or it's about something else, I make sure my self-care is around that. So if I'm really stressed and there's been so much going on, my self-care looks like a hot bath at night. I didn't have time for that this week, but otherwise I would have done that as well. So see for you as well, what is my self-care in different scenarios, and what's like the minimum, and where can I not punish myself for not, we all know we can do so much more. So instead of focusing on what we're not doing, what can I add in small ways that aren't going to cost me any extra time or effort or money, but that are still going to help me take better care of myself. It can be meditation, journaling, hot baths, going for a walk, meeting with a friend, eating healthy, you know the drill. Okay. Then number 3, this is one of the hardest ones for me. And that was, I asked for help. Now, there was something specific going on last week, something that I struggle with on a regular basis. And I am also in a coaching program. I'm a coach, but I also have my own coach. I love calling in support of coaches and of other people. Let me rephrase that. I see the power of hiring people to help, of hiring coaches, because I've seen how much faster it gets me to my results, and in a much nicer way. The journey is much nicer. But I do struggle with actively asking for specific help sometimes. So I'm in a coaching program with a coach and with a group, and it's related to the thing that I'm struggling with. So last week when I was really struggling, I thought, okay, this is my cue to ask for help. So I really showed up vulnerably in that group. We have a Telegram group, And I laid down, okay, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm doing. And all the girls, chipped in and they helped me. And they gave me some new perspectives, some practical tips, and just putting it out there and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. And having those people have my back was already really helpful. That week, I also had a coaching session with my coach, and it was scheduled, but we hadn't decided yet what we would talk about. And so when I saw it coming up in my schedule, I'm like, okay, the thing I'm struggling with, that is going to be my focus for this session. And so I wrote her, I need specific help around this. And asking for that support, actually after the one-on-one session I had with her, finally everything shifted, because she really helped me to break open. Actually, I'm going into a lot of details, but she had already shared something in our Telegram group based on what she read about me. So she gave me some prompts, some questions, some tips. That already helped me release some emotions. And then in our one-on-one session, we really dove a lot deeper, and not by talking about it more, but using different tools, similar tools to what I use with my one-on-one clients, that really helped me break open in a way. It's hard to describe. And after that one-on-one session, I felt my whole energy shifting, and I was finally back in my own power. I went to sleep in a really good mood. Like not good, energetic and woo, but more like I've landed kind of mood, and slept so well. And the next day I was back fully in my physical energy as well. So I asked for help. And I'm really saying this because I have coached so many expats who are super self-reliant and who are not used to asking for support. They prefer to do things on their own. They've learned it somewhere in their lives that it's easier to just do it themselves. They don't want to burden other people. Even if they paid for it, in my one-on-one coaching, you get unlimited WhatsApp support with me. And I always have to tell them, please use it, because the ones who have used the WhatsApp support are also the ones with the biggest transformation. So this is also why I'm putting it in this episode, because asking for support is really a game changer if you are a self-reliant person, because you'll go much faster and you'll also feel supported along the way. And so your energy will be more recharged when you get to your destination. That was number 3. Then number 4 was releasing my emotions. And as I said, I felt already some anxiety coming up, some sadness, but it wasn't really coming out. And it was hard for me to I do recognize it when the emotions are coming up. Nowadays, I make a lot of space for it. But this week, it was just harder for me to access it and to allow it to come out. So I had the prompts from my coach, which really finally did the trick at some point. And then also in our one-on-one session, I released a lot. And I realized, oh my gosh, this wasn't only anxiety. There was a lot of grief hidden beneath it. If you've been with me for longer, you know that both my parents died in the last couple of years. My dad in 2020, 3 weeks after I moved back home from Brazil, right in the middle of the pandemic, just before my heart got broken. It was an awful period. And less than 2 years later, my mom died. And a couple of months after that, actually also my grandma died. And there's been a lot of grief. And the relationship with my parents wasn't a conventional one. And I was just reflecting on that just before this episode. I don't really have the usual rituals or anchors to feel your grief or to experience it with others. It's very much a solo journey. And so from time to time, I just get hit by a wave of grief. And it's usually triggered by something that is so not related to my parents or to grief that unlocks that deeper emotion that is there, the grief of missing them and of dealing with the fact that they aren't here anymore. And it was good that it all came out. It was really good, because after I released that all, I felt clean. And I just felt like, it's out of there. It's out of me. And this is always what I tell my clients as well. You've got to make space for your emotions. And this is what we do inside our sessions, because a lot of us, we just bottle everything up. And we tell ourselves we have no reasons to feel that way, or it's better to not feel that way, or we're afraid of what's going to happen if we open up that box of Pandora. But actually, emotions just want to be felt. It's like a ball you push underwater. You can keep pushing it down for a very long time, But at some point you get tired, and the moment you let go, it splashes you in the face with all that water. It's much better to let go of your grip and to slowly let the ball come up, let it be there for a little while so it can then float away. This is what your emotions are. They just want to be felt. If you don't make space for them, they will keep nagging you until you listen. And this is literally what happened to me last week, whereas I wasn't making space for them, I guess. And then slowly I had more signs to be like, Amanda, it's time for you to make space. And really, really glad I did, because after that, I came back to myself, to my power, to my energy, as I was saying. So that was really good. So number 4 is make space for your emotions. And if you have a hard time making space for your emotions, start with the physical sensations. So what are you feeling in your body when you think about something? Or if you're not thinking about something specific, but you notice this something in the background just keeps asking your attention, or you're just feeling a little off, start with, what am I feeling physically when I tune into that? Is it like a tight throat or a knot in the stomach or weight on the shoulders? And what if I express it a little bit more with my body and I exaggerate that physical sensation? Can you then tune into what am I feeling emotionally, and just allow whatever comes up to be there. It's not going to overtake you. It might be for a moment, but if you can really make space for it, it will also leave again. So number 4, make space for your emotions. And the last one, oh gosh, maybe this was the hardest one. That was, I surrendered to it. And that was only on Thursday. By Monday, I still felt fine. By Tuesday, I was trying. By Wednesday, I was getting frustrated. Like, why is this week not going well? Slipping through my fingers. I don't have any grip. And by Thursday afternoon, it was finally that I was like, okay, you know what? All the things I wanted to do, I'm accepting I won't be able to do them because I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, and I don't have the focus and headspace for it right now. It's just not happening. And it's okay. I'm just going to accept it. And the emotions that I'm feeling, it's okay. Let them come up. And the fact that I'm leaving in less than 3 weeks and I still have so much to do, and you know what? It's okay. It's all okay. So I just surrendered to it. I just accepted this week isn't going to be my week. All the things that I thought I would do, that I want to feel, that I want to be, they're not happening. And it's okay. I'm not going to resist it any longer. The more you resist something, the more energy you will lose. It's the resistance that is the fight, actually. It's not the thing itself that we are resisting. It's the resistance to it. And if we can just let go of that resistance, this is when we usually get back to our energy and our own power much quicker. So that is number 5, I surrender to it. So if you are experiencing a similar week, or maybe it's going to come up sometime soon in this really busy period of the year, and maybe also the dark days if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, just remember these 5 things, and I'll just summarize them again. Number 1 is laying down the foundations. So instead of just pushing through and getting to your to-dos and getting rushed, go back to what you really need to be in your right energy. That could also be a walk or something else. You can do some affirmation, some meditation, but lay down the foundations that are necessary for you to get into a better state of being. The second one is self-care. So add some small tweaks to your day that just prioritize that self-care. I know so many, again, it's just a no-brainer, but I know so many of you aren't doing that. Just this week, I spoke to someone who is at the COP, the climate conference, and she's sleeping 4 hours a night, and she's exhausted, and she's really not prioritizing her self-care. And we spoke about it in our session. So I know so many of you are doing something similar, and I have that tendency too to just skip it, but it's so important. Number 3 is ask for help, hire a coach, or if you have a coach, ask for support, ask your friends, ask your family, ask a colleague, reach out to someone online, whatever. Just ask for support. You don't have to do this alone. We all think, I don't want to be a burden with all my emotions, and no one can change anything about it. No, they might not, but you can still ask for support of, hey, can you listen to me? Hey, could you put me back in my power? Hey, can you ask me a thoughtful question? Number 4 is making space for your emotions. Let it all out. Give those ugly cries some space, or that anger to come out, or fear, whatever. It's not going to take you over. Just make space for it so you can be released from it. And number 5 is to just surrender to it. Accept the fact that you're not having the best week and that you're not having the output that you thought you wanted. and that it's okay. You'll be back on your feet in another week and you'll be smashing it. I would love to hear what this episode brought up for you. Oh, and just as a conclusion, after I did all those things, by Thursday, as I said, I was feeling so much better. I had a good night of sleep. And then, I've been loving the rest of my week after that. I've been feeling so much better, happier, lighter, more confident, because I really made space for whatever needed to come out. And I had the tools to come back to my own powerful self. And yeah, I feel so much better on the other side. So I wish the same to you if you are having this kind of week. If you've been listening to this episode and it really resonated with you, let me know, because this is a one-way street and it's sometimes hard for me to know, is this landing with you? Is this useful to you? Is this inspiring to you? What do you want to know more? So if this resonated, let me know, because then I can create more episodes like this. So you can get in touch with me on Instagram. You can find me at Amanda Maxime, or send me an email at info@amandamaximecoaching.com. And if you have any question or a suggestion for the podcast, also let me know. Because I think it was last time, I recorded an episode on overcoming language barriers, and that came from a listener, that question. So if you have something similar, let me know, and I'll see if I can create something around it. I'd love to grow this community together with you. So I hope to see you somewhere else, and on Instagram or in emails. And otherwise, I'll be speaking to you again probably next week. Talk to you soon. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye-bye.